This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. Hi, I'm Mark Alyn, and during the next 2 hours, we're going to talk about a wide range of subjects that reach out and touch each and every one of us. Everything from a gluten-free breakfast and acid reflux during hour 2 to autism with Ed Asner's son, Matt Asner, and Autism Speaks. April is Autism Awareness Month, and we're going to do our best to promote what's happening in the world of autism. That'll happen in about a half hour from now. We're going to go now to Washington, D.C., and spend some time with Daniel Fabricant. He is the CEO of the Natural Products Association, which Late Night Health is a proud member, our third year. And next week is Natural Products Association Lobby Day. We'll find out about that as well. Dr. Dan, welcome back to Late Night Health. How you doing?
You know, it's been an interesting time here in D.C. with an election, but feeling pretty good for an 80-year-old organization. You know,
right?
We're just getting moving.
You started in 1936, 80 years ago.
80 years, long time. And
right.
If you think back to 1936, you know, it's not that dissimilar from this marketplace, though. We weren't coming out of a depression, but people wanted to do something positive for their health care in the market. They feel like, you know, I think people are, maybe then they were disenfranchised with their doctor. Now we know they're definitely disenfranchised with their doctor, and they want to take it into their own hands. So I think that similarly, we really advocate for the rights of manufacturers and retailers, which helps the consumer. The consumer has options in the marketplace that they know are safe and they're of quality. So that's the key thing.
Recently, in the last couple of years, some attorney generals have targeted supplements, manufacturers, retailers. The NPA and other organizations have said, wait a second, if there's something bad out there, we know that we don't want it out there either. Would you agree with that statement of mine?
Yeah, of course, and especially coming from where I came from, which was the FDA before coming back to NPA. I think in some ways we're in the same business. It's not really a good business model for the industry to hurt consumers. And I think if you look at the safety record, the track record of the industry, by and large, you see it's one of the safest consumer products on the planet. Foods have over 200,000 foodborne illness hospitalizations every year. We're not that that's the best metric, but that certainly doesn't happen with respect to dietary supplements.
Right, exactly. You can go online and you can find out that people have died from prescription drugs that have been mishandled, overuse. Doctors are prescribing them incorrectly, and at the same time, we know that being in a hospital is a great way of getting very sick and dying. It's unfortunate. Yet you can't find much information about people having problems, serious problems from supplements. There are theories that there are problems with supplements. Any comments on that?
Well, look, I mean, half the time you see studies where they cherry-pick endpoints that weren't the intentional endpoint. They look at things like mortality from a study that was done for antioxidant effect on bone density. So that's kind of complete cherry-pick science, and anyone who's got, a PhD worth their salt kind of sees through the mire. For better or worse, though, I think the industry needs to take a look at these things because we're always going to be in the news. So, just to keep kind of hanging back and saying, well, wait a second, these studies are bogus, that's not, we need to take it a step further, and I think we will. We need to start getting more transparent with our studies and what we're doing to really put our best foot forward.
And we should point out that you have a doctorate in this stuff.
I do. My PhD is from the University of Illinois in pharmacognosy, which if anyone out there can spell, they get a gold star. But it's the study.
I can't even say it.
It's actually the study of drug development from natural products, from botanicals.
And, of course, the University of Illinois has some very good science and medical schools.
Not too bad.
Right?
Not too bad. Yeah, no, they're one of the best. And then my PhD advisor was really renowned in the study of plants for developing both alternative therapies and drugs. So yeah, I think it was a great place to study, and it's a great discipline, and it certainly has helped me throughout my days.
Do you personally take supplements?
I do. I take a multivitamin. I take fish oil and probiotics.
I love that probiotic. I really do. We saw each other briefly at the Natural Products Association, the Expo West, which is they changed their name, Hope Network now, and recently, and I saw Dan, and then a couple of aisles over there was somebody was passing out some probiotics, something that I've used in the past, and we're going to arrange to have them on the air in the next couple of weeks. So we were talking. I was talking to the marketing director, and he said, "Did you used to work in a radio station in the Valley?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "I was your board operator." We're talking like 35 years ago. It was very funny. He was my Daryl way back then. Dan, what is the state of alternative health in terms of supplementation today? What is going on in that arena in terms of studies, clinical trials, etc.?
Well, there's more studies than ever. We always tell people to go to sources like clinicaltrials.gov and others to really see what those are and see what's going on in the marketplace. I think that's critical for consumers. Consumers of dietary supplements tend to be some of the best informed on the planet if we go by studies that are things like, pretty reputable journals. David Eisenberg in the 90s from Harvard conducted a lot of the studies. So there's a great deal going on. People are really looking at, and on some degree I tell people it's boring. You're seeing a lot of studies on omega-3s, on vitamin D, on probiotics, in really pretty hard clinical trials on those, which I think is good because that really helps to get the credibility the consumer's looking for.
What should consumers look for when they're thinking about a supplement? I mean,
well, first thing we tell people is to talk to your healthcare practitioner. And your healthcare practitioner may be your MD, but maybe you have an ND, maybe you have a nutritionist, maybe you have an osteopath. Have a why. Always have a why for using a supplement. Make sure it's consistent with, hey, look, I don't eat a good diet, so what is it? I exercise a lot, so maybe I need to look at water-soluble vitamins. Have a why. Have a clear why. Talk about it with your healthcare practitioner, and then really, there's a lot of choices out there in the marketplace, which sometimes can be intimidating, but the research isn't impossible to wade through. I think once you have kind of the why, you can start to look at the what and the who. And certainly, and this is going to be a plug for us, but look for manufacturers and retailers who are members of a trade association. The people that are fly-by-night, they tend not to belong to trade associations. So, they tend to have a little more skin in the game, if you will.
And you also have a GMP program, I believe, Good Manufacturing Practices program?
We do. We actually work on it with UL, which is exciting. UL is, we look at our light bulbs and we see UL. So we had a chance to partner with UL, where they're a 120-year-old public safety company. And, we've got a lot of credibility, and they do too. So it certainly, it's an exciting time as part of the NPA GMP program. And actually what we just did was the label on products is coming back. So you'll see products probably in early summer or late summer, early fall have the NPA GMP logo on them with UL too. So that's exciting.
That really is. GMP, by the way, stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. It means that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if it says vitamin C, there's vitamin C in that tablet or capsule. And that's
exactly
just part
right.
of it, right?
No, coming from FDA can't be everywhere at once. So, consumers want that added assurance, if you will, and retailers more and more want that added assurance. So, this is a way that a third-party program generally comes in every 6 months and, like you said, verifies the process that the amounts are there, the ingredients are there, everything on the label, which is already required by law, is there. So it just gives you that extra added, kind of pat on the back that you're buying quality.
Why? And I know you've heard this before. Many doctors, medical doctors, MDs, and others have told me that supplements have no regulation, that supplements don't have to contain what it says on the label, that supplements just don't work. How do you respond to that?
I mean, clearly, look, I think by and large, let's start with the American diet, which we know that the 5 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables that the government says, the USDA says we should be getting a day, we don't get. Only 17% of the population gets that. So where's the nutrition going to come from? So starting there, and that's why I think multivitamins are the most popular product in the U.S. is, I eat a lousy diet just because of the nature of my job running from pillar to post. But again, these are, let's look at the clinical science. Let's look at folks, let's look at the effects of, there are, the simplest example I give to people is people always want to hold up drug trials as the gold standard, right? Well, there are drugs approved that are fish oil. There are drugs approved that are niacin. So clearly there's a biological effect of these ingredients on the body. And so just to kind of ignore it out of face value when people do that, and it comes from the medical community sometimes, they don't, they may say to their patients, well, don't take any supplements because we don't know.
Right.
All they're doing is guaranteeing that their patients aren't going to talk to them about their supplementation.
And at the same time, we know that drugs have been approved by the FDA, and 3 years later, after killing people, they're pulled from the marketplace. Which bothers me a whole bunch. We're out of time for this segment, but you're going to hang in with us. Our guest is Daniel Fabricant. He is the CEO of the Natural Products Association, and I believe that they are helping the American people be healthy. When we come back in just a moment or two, we're going to be talking about NPA Lobby Day coming up, something that I will be participating in for the 3rd year in a row. Join us at latenighthealth.com. You'll be able to see a picture of Dan and all of our other guests as well. More coming up. Don't go away.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment.